Okay,
Sure.
we are good to go. Okay, I don't remember how we started. We
We
used to,
just said do that, and it's like,
you would say you're Denise, I'm Ravae,
yeah, and then we said
and
and do that.
so that, and we just go, okay, honey,
It's
three
been
months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, everybody.
uh,
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Ravae Sinclair,
Hi, I'm Denise Bolts.
and we are here to help you doula that.
Do that. There you go. Yay, we're back.
We had to dig for that, y'all. It's been 3 full months since we
Oh
have
my God.
sat here in this space together to do this work with you, to do the podcast. So,
And time has flown so quick. It doesn't feel like 3 months. It feels like 3 hours. It feels like 3 days. It doesn't feel like it's been 3 months.
you're absolutely right, except I'm rusty as heck. I couldn't even remember how we were doing our intro. Like, girl. And
Oh,
because we did a little bit of a recording before this, and I don't even think it recorded. Like, you talk about
the brain cells have been occupied. We weren't here with all of you, but the brain cells were occupied. That's all I'm going to say.
yeah, we've been doing stuff. Okay, so that's actually what we're going to spend a little time catching you up because there has been a gap. We were committed to doing weekly and biweekly connections with you all, sharing wisdom and all the things. And then because we run our own businesses, we are the CEOs. We are also sometimes the secretary and the accountant and the funder and all of the things.
Yeah.
We got really, really busy. So yeah, so some things have to go, you got to be mature. Some things have to go by the wayside and like go on pause. And so we did that with the podcast, but I think I think it was good. I think it was healthy. And I think we're going to be better than ever. So let's share. Okay. So Denise, like over a big picture synopsis, what have you been doing?
I've been getting ready to meet my 60s, Denise 6.0. My health changed, my regimen changed. I am finishing up. I finished up my first year of my doctoral program, and now I'm in my second year. So I am still working on being Dr. Denise Bowles by 2025. And I did some traveling. I've been traveling to Chicago and to Houston, Texas, and I treated myself to a big birthday trip to Thailand for 2 weeks. So that was an amazing journey.
That's amazing. Yeah. You know what? Sometimes you just got to live. You just got to take a little time and live. So I love that. I love that for you. I think we
Yeah.
were kind of working on doing these weeklies. And then when we like got off track because like one of our recording times was something you needed to do for school.
Oh, yeah.
And very quickly, we couldn't even find a time
Yeah.
to get back on track. And then maybe when things were quieting down for you, they picked up for me.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
because I did like almost like 9 weeks straight of travel. Like there was one day,
Yep.
all of these weeks
Right.
was in some other state, some other city,
Hmm.
doing what we do, doing our work. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and I think we just naturally let the podcast kind of take a pause. And then
A
yeah,
healthy, it was a healthy pause. It was a healthy pause.
yeah,
It really
now we're
was.
back.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back.
Ready
Okay,
to go.
so I can answer my question. So in these weeks, these 3 months, I've been traveling. So I would say I've been business building. In the time
Yes,
that
you
I was
have.
away, I added independent contractors to my agency,
Yes.
growing, the support that we do privately for families here in Atlanta and continuing the work we do with families in Washington, D.C., and working to expand our work in Dallas, as well as we added a new city. Oops, almost dropped my drink. We added a new city. We added Phoenix, Arizona to our
Yes.
list, and
Yes. Yes.
serving families there and um, thinking about Durham, Raleigh area, adding a team that I had been working with anyway to help them in their doula training program. So yeah, so I've been doing like expanding the agency. I did a trip to North Carolina, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where I helped teach in that program that's rooted in their medical school. Um, I did take a trip for pleasure to the Outer Banks to hang with my sister for her 50th. I took care of a family in Scottsdale who's in Paris, competing in the Olympics. So that was great to help
Oh
an
yeah.
Olympian grow her family.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I've been designing courses. So, I did a doula training. I did my inaugural postpartum doula
Yes.
workshop. So I've been doing that. That is finishing up. Super excited for those new doulas that are helping families on the postpartum side. My goodness, I launched the birth business building online training program. It is
Yes.
45-hour program for
And
folks who
it's oof,
ready to go to the
it's
next level.
it's
So
everything. It's
it
everything.
is, it is. And I needed a break just to recover from that. So that business program is out there. I also did a how to get started, just like the basics, like business startup. So I have a couple of online business trainings that have launched like quietly. They're just out there. And yeah, I don't know, all the things. I'm a busy board member with NAB, the National Association to Advance Black Birth, and we relaunched our Black Birthing Bill of Rights. And
Yes, it's
yeah,
beautiful.
it is
Yes.
beautiful, and we're expanding our staff. So I've been busy supporting them in the role of the treasurer. So just trying to get through and make sure we are viable, vibrant, nonprofit, birth supporting organization out here. Yeah, so I feel like there's been like all those things, and there's more to come. But yeah, that's what 3 months. That's why it feels like we blinked because you and I have like not stopped talking. We've not stopped, supporting one another. We just
Oh
haven't
no.
been doing it for the podcast.
No, no, I've been calling Ravae from Thailand. It's like, oh God,
Yes.
talk to you, girl. Been talking to
Yes.
Thailand and just still growing. I mean, Black women do VBAC. I'm still training. I created 2 new courses, advanced training courses for doulas. I'll be releasing those in the fall, having a nice big ta-da. So you can get these additional 2 doula trainings, advanced doula trainings. I'm excited about those. But yeah, we've been busy.
Busy. We've been busy. And so it's really been good to take a break. And I think it'll allow us to have, a good, fresh perspective to offer birth workers. I feel like since we've been gone, I'm like, what have y'all been doing? What have doulas been doing? So I am curious.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we've been gone, like, doing life, but we've been paying attention. So for you, Denise, like what has stood out in 3 months time? Because I actually think this is a good chance to kind of like get a microscopic view of like how the birth world moves. In these 3 months, what has stood out to you, like the energy, the vibe in the birth world?
Well, we've had some more maternal deaths. Of course, we've had some fetal deaths. Doulas are burnt out. Doulas are not staying in the profession long after receiving their training. Um, Doulas are leaving. Nurses are leaving their profession and becoming doulas.
That part, yeah.
It's like, what? So there's been a lot of shifting, a lot of moving pieces post pandemic. I remember a lot of these people took their training in the pandemic virtually, and now they're coming out and realizing like, oh, this is more than what I thought. This is really intense. We've had some hospitals close, we've had some hospitals merge. There's been a lot of moving pieces post pandemic. And I see a lot of it happening in the birthing space. We have a lot of inductions. Doulas
Oh,
all over are talking
oh,
about everybody's getting an induction like it's Halloween candy that's out here. Inductions are all over the place, and families are not prepared for these, especially when there's been no conversation until the last trimester, the I word. So yeah, there's been a lot of that going on. People are transitioning, they're dying and leaving these gaps, of who's going to be able to accept the baton and keep the work going. We've had that. So there's been a lot of transformation, a lot of moving pieces in the birthing space.
I agree. I agree with all of those. I've definitely have seen those. And that's just in 3 months. Like that stuff had been happening for a while, but like I've seen the intensity of all of those things in the last 3 months, just like stepping back and not talking about it, but like, yeah,
Right.
watching it.
Hmm.
I love the Facebook groups. I'm a Facebook diehard.
I know those Facebook groups be giving some good tea. Good
I
tea.
be loving, and not just like
Good
the worker.
tea.
I like all the lifestyle Facebook groups. Black girls who shop at Target.
Oh, they are the best.
I
What
love
a
all of
group.
that. I love all of that. I see the potential for how well those groups can change your life. Okay. But in the birth space, and I've been encouraging newer doulas, we're like, oh, I don't do social media. I don't do social media. I told people on my team, if you want to build your business,
Mm,
your butt better be on social media. And whether you
mm,
think Facebook is for old people or not, Facebook has a feature that other social media platforms don't have, which is that group feature, that private group feature. And being able
yes.
to privately talk and chat and share, that is community building.
It's
They are
amazing.
creating
Amazing.
communities, and those
Yes.
communities really sustain people emotionally and help. And really, those groups are very lucrative. So they're sustaining a couple of people financially quite well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
those groups really give you a really good sense of the birth world because we're isolated. I'm in my space. I might go to a birthing room or I'm going to someone's house and doing postpartum. You're in your space. We're hardly, as birth workers, collectively all in one space. We don't like go to an
It's
office every day.
it's a challenge to get us all in one space because the demands of the profession. It's not
Yeah.
that easy.
So we have an unusual profession in that way is that like unless you're connected to a collective or you see other doulas on a regular basis, you don't actually have a sense of community and like what is
No,
happening big
no,
picture. You may just
no.
be stuck on what's happening in your neighborhood, in your community, like in your
Mhm.
city. And if you don't have a good relationship with birth workers in your city, you're really on the outs. You could be having a
Right.
miserable professional experience. And
That's right.
so the Facebook groups really allow you to get community that goes worldwide. You can get
It
support
really
from
does.
anyone. You can get advice from people. You can get the pick me up that you
Mm.
need. So I really love the social media spaces. I particularly love the Facebook spaces, even though I don't spend a lot of time contributing in them anymore. Um,
Right, right.
but I will tell you what I've seen in the last 3 months. I have
Yes.
seen a lot of realizations. Okay,
Oh,
so I
yes.
can categorize like some of the shenanigans. I can say, oh, people are realizing dot dot dot.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
can also say that I'm observing growth, but people are realizing number one, it's not number one in priority, but just the first thing that comes to the top of my head is the fallout of us losing reproductive rights. Okay, I
Yes.
think a lot of
Ooh.
us are seeing how it's playing out with potential clients, with past
Mm-hmm.
clients, that
Mm-hmm.
the hoops that people are having to jump through and the challenges that people are facing now that maybe
Mm-hmm.
they can't easily gain a procedure or an opportunity right in their state. And
That's
now
right.
we're hearing the threat of if you go to another state or if you help someone go, you can also,
You can be
so,
prosecuted as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think we're seeing the fall. I think some birth workers are really feeling the pinch of the loss of reproductive rights, which is why voting in this election is really important. And don't even ask me who I'm voting for because you already know I'm voting for me. She looked like me. She living like me. She's okay. So I'm voting
And
my
she's an attorney like you.
right. She's a politician like I was. Yeah, I'm voting my reflection 100%. Okay.
I
So
know that's right.
I also think that there's some realizations about that people need business building skills. I see people reaching out more, wanting advice around business and how to. I see that. I'm gonna tell you, I also see people minding their business more.
Yes.
Not like just their business, but some people who I used to see be very vocal and spend all this energy on social media. In the last 3 months, I've seen some folk pull back, and mostly because I can assume that life is lifing.
Mm-hmm.
Life is lifing for them a little bit. So I think people
Oh
are
yeah.
yeah. And
Oh, it
so
is life, and oh, it's moving.
yeah. Well, okay, because 2024 is karma is doing her thing.
Oh, whew. I
Okay.
have two words for you. P. Diddy, Justin Timberlake, Drake, one word. I mean,
Oh
these
yeah.
people, whew. These people are catching it. It's like, what?
Yeah. They were the golden goose. They were the golden folk for years and years and years. And
Oh, yeah.
they're getting back some of what they
Yep.
put out, some seeds that they planted. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
happening with folks that we know as well. And I
Exactly.
I think there's a yeah, it's a reckoning happening. I think it's really healthy. It's good to see. The other, I'm just gonna say it like that. Okay, I think the other thing I see is a building up of frustration over the thing
Mm,
that you mentioned, which is a lack of leadership. I
hmm.
see people really frustrated that they sat here and they invested in a training and they have no opportunity for continued connection or mentorship
Ooh,
or a place to learn.
ooh.
Okay.
These doulas are coming out and they are saying, hey, I can't go into a birthing room. I don't feel confident after taking this, sitting here 3 days with this training. I can't do this. I can't tell you the stages of labor. That blows me away. Or better yet, let's not teach the stages of labor. That's the about.
What are you talking about? Listen,
Oof.
so I think that there is this frustration and people are saying it and they're wanting to be very careful about where they invest for their education
Mhm.
because the requirement has been raised that they have this opportunity to continue to learn and grow from someone.
That's right. That's right.
And so I think that that's great. I know you have a mentorship program. I'm relaunching mine in the fall because the way I
Yay.
do it is so it's in depth. And so I was like, ooh, when I first like soft launched it in March or April, I was like, oh, I can do this. And then I was like, oh no, 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 can't do this because it's
It
a
takes a
lot of
lot to mentor. It takes a lot.
yeah, it's a lot of responsibility. And so
Mhm.
to come, right? But there's a growing voice around like if you are going to be out here, you need to be a responsible educator leader.
Yes,
And it has to
yes,
go beyond that
yes,
weekend. Beyond you we
yes.
it's got to go beyond that weekend, right? So I'm hearing doulas, I'm watching doulas really say that this isn't enough. So I like that they're setting a standard and an expectation in our
Oh
profession. I
yeah.
love to hear that. I
Hmm.
also am seeing doulas who I remember when they were brand new are technically now starting to become experienced. I'm not going to call them seasoned, but more experienced. Maybe they've been in 4 or 5 years and they are burned out.
Yeah. Oh, they're done. They're done. Tapped out. Not burnt out. Tapped out. Tapped out.
Tapped out. So
Well,
these
I'm
would
shutting
be the,
down my practice. I'm not taking any more births. Done.
there's that. These would be people who kind of came into the profession in 2018, 2019 before
Mm-hmm.
like they were still new when the pandemic hit and they've come through
Hmm.
it and they are burnt.
Yep.
They got a little
Yep.
singe. They got a little singe on the edges. And you're right.
Oh
Some of
yeah.
them have just thrown in the towel. Some people are going back to full-time work. Some people are
Yep.
like physically struggling like through the muck and the mire. And I have a lot of empathy
Mhm.
because I did that, right? I was
Right.
running a
Right.
private group. I was
Right.
on the board. I was coming off of a board. And I was leaving a relationship, moving across to another state. I was holding it together, running my business, keeping myself afloat. And I felt like I was walking in quicksand. So
Right.
I
Very
have,
demanding. Very
yeah, I have a
demanding.
lot of empathy. And I had self-diagnosed burnout. I didn't
Hmm.
even go to a doctor, right? I could identify. So I see some of that. Um, and I also see people really building their business, people taking care of business,
Hmm.
like setting up classes and using technology to professionalize themselves, or people like seeking credentials, even though most of us are in professions where we don't need the credentials. But I do see people looking to pursue that and kind of struggling because they're not finding good quality organizations that can give them the credentials that they need. So that's some of
That's
the stuff
right.
that I've observed. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. What do you think is the state of the birth world? Just the fact that we have zoomed out for 3 months and we're kind of dipping our toe. Well, coming back to the podcast, we haven't left. You've been doing births. I've been doing births.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But what would you say since we're on, so we can come back to this next year since I'm going to give accountability about my wellness, but you're going to also we're going to come back and say, like, what's the state of the birth world? What do you just overall, how would you describe it?
Oof. It's the wild, wild west out here right now. It really is. I mean, with the amount of inductions that are going on and the severity of the birth trauma, it's like, yo, this last one I just shared with you, it's like with this vacuum extraction story. Whew,
Oh,
it really is like one of those Mad Max kind of movies out here.
well,
The
it's like,
apocalypse
it's
kind of
just like
thing
the,
out here.
but it's just as bad and traumatic as the shoulder dystocia case here in Georgia. What do you mean decapitated?
It's like, what do you mean 15 attempts on a vacuum extraction and this baby passes away the next day?
Yeah,
What? Who stood by and let this clinician do that after
right.
the mother begged for a C-section and begged him to stop? Like, what?
Partners, partner watched that happen. Nurses stood by and watched that happen.
There was no doula.
No doula.
No
But
doula.
yeah, so I agree with you. We've got the Wild Wild West going. Okay, on the optimist side, I also feel like we have a call for nurses who have been present for every single death, for every single birth, a call for accountability to them. I'm really happy about this. And I'm definitely going to be on board with this, like starting to do some projects around this.
Mhm.
Nurses becoming accountable for the role that they play in this entire system. People have been hollering for years about doulas, doulas, doulas. We are not the savior. We are not the fix it. We're not. We are there to kind of catch people who fall through the holes, and we're there to make sure people don't even get close to falling through the holes. But you know who is, if doulas aren't always present at a birth, doctors aren't always present at a birth. And I've said this to you. You know who's always present at a birth if it's in
The
a
nurse.
institution
The
is a
nurse.
nurse. And guess what they're doing? They're always documenting. So they're paying attention. And so on some of these nurses' watches, trauma is being inflicted. And on a lot of
Yeah.
these nurses' watches, people are dying.
Yes.
So if we're going to do some solution making, which I'm starting to see the pool, and like I said, even some of the organization I'm involved in, we're going to be pulling in nurses for that accountability. I'm really excited about that. I start in the last 3 months, I've been able to get tap into that energy around nurses getting involved in their role in our current state of birth in the United States. Um, I'm also excited to see you and I develop into educators, leaders in a different way. So not just in name of a training org, but actually doing advanced courses,
Yes.
really bringing people through to say, here's the 1, 2, 3, the 4, 5, 6.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
super excited about that and that we've settled into that. It feels really good because I think we spent a lot of time seeing the problem and then calling out the problem. And
Oh,
now,
yeah.
and now and hoping somebody else, the people we were working with and pulling for it, that they would step up as leaders to fill those holes. And now we're just doing it.
Well, just go ahead. Don't wait on that because you'll be
We
having
just
a long day.
simplified it, didn't we? We're just like, okay, I'll go do it.
Just go ahead and do. And I think that's the way the higher power wanted it to be. You know, I wanted to do the VBAC training under Dona, and
Yeah.
God was like, nope.
Right, we're going to
You're
give
gonna
it to
do it.
it, let it couch under another organization, right? And so sometimes
Right.
we just need to simplify. And I was born on the same day as Gandhi, and that Gandhi might be a controversial figure for some folks, but
Yes.
I will say, be the change you want to see has been like
Right.
a really powerful energy that I've moved with throughout my careers,
Mhm.
whether I was in law, here in the birth space, but it was like be the change you want to see. And so I love that's what we're embodying, really
Oh
creating
yeah. Oh
creating
yeah.
solutions.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So to me, the state of birth, like I said, in addition to the Wild Wild West, I also see a couple of pockets, those two that I just named, as like there's innovation. I actually feel like we're in a good space post pandemic where it's like, what do people need? There is an opportunity to really create what you yourself need. And so I
Mhm.
don't know. I feel pretty optimistic. It's been good to walk Zoom out for these 3 months and tap
Yeah.
back in like in this platform. I love that we're just doing us. And I want to see more birth workers do that. Um,
Yeah.
so we can continue to see change. Yeah. So
Yeah. It's a different perspective when you take a break, kind of do a little detox, and then come back in. It's like, oh, okay, okay, I can do this, I can do that. I'm gonna take this on, I'm gonna put this down, and I'm gonna move this way or whatever. But yeah, this was necessary. This was definitely necessary. Because also don't forget, you and I worked straight through the pandemic. We were not sitting at home looking out the window. We were in hazmat suits driving out here, getting nasal swabs to the point of nosebleeds. So it's it was a totally it was a time out here. So I think the pause was definitely necessary.
I agree. I just said to somebody the other day, while, people were, we weren't sure how long we were going to be at home, right? And so some people were at home doing facial masks and creating people like really went in on skincare during the pandemic. Child, I totally ignored my skin. I was like on the computer. How do we pivot?
Oh,
How do we
oh,
create a class? How
oh,
do
the
we
stuff
help
I
doulas?
did.
How do we help doulas get virtual, be able to get
The black birth couch, the black what the
the
you
black,
created
yeah.
some amazing things in the pandemic.
We
What?
did, yeah. In the Black Donor Doula group that I had created, we were doing
The
couch conversations every
the
Friday night.
racism group, the racist, yeah, oh
I
my
was
God.
doing the
Oh,
anti-racism
oh my
group and
God.
like DEI. I had membership.
Yes,
Oh my God. Yes, girl. That
yes.
feels like a lifetime ago.
I
But
know.
even then, like there was this sense of innovation, meet the
Mm-hmm.
need, catch people where they are. And so
Yes.
that's why I say I still think that that's where we are. I feel like there's an opportunity for innovation and for us to do it. And when you're creating things, you do need to take breaks. You need to
Yeah.
step back. So I think we're right where we need to be. I'm really excited. I'm excited for what you have coming forward. Are you ready to share a little bit of what you have coming forward for the fall?
Yeah, for the fall, I have two advanced doula trainings that I've created that's coming down the pipe. I have a NICU doula training, and I also have a medical terminology for birth workers, so that birth workers really can begin to understand the language of what's being said when it comes to childbirth. And the NICU doula, well, that speaks for itself. Black women have the highest incident of preterm birth. So we need Black doulas in these NICUs to really help these families navigate through. Because in the NICU, it is such a psychological takeover, intimidation, alienation that we really need doulas to be able to help these families.
Absolutely. I love that. I think these are right, like very niche, but very specific skills that every doula is going to encounter. You're going to encounter a family at least once who has a baby that's in NICU. And you may have felt like, oh, the birth is done. I did my part,
Right,
or the baby isn't home yet. So my postpartum work hasn't started yet.
right.
But this family is having that gap that you are not aware of is traumatic. It can be a real
It
challenge
can be. It sure can be.
be a real challenge. And so knowing what they're going through and being able to do emotional support in that space is going to be a game changer for a lot of doulas. So,
Yeah.
and a lot of families. So I love that. Let's see. So for me, going into the fall, I'm working to focus more on supporting birth businesses. So even in these 3 months, I've been consulting with agencies, individual
Mm,
doulas, helping them update their contracts and things like that. So I have some innovation around my contracts that's going to happen, but business tools in general for birth workers going into the fall
mm.
is a focus of mine. So packets of forms or startup suggestions, opportunities for like one-on-one support, specific support for your business. And then birth doula training coming out of National Birth and Postpartum Professionals, because we did the
Yes.
postpartum, but we
Yes.
are like have to get this birth doula training and
Oh, yeah.
combined with the community doula training off out into the world. It's not like off the
Yes.
ground, but
Your
out into the
community
world.
doula training is fire, girl. I can't wait for you to
I
get that
know, I
completed.
know,
Woo!
it's so good. I know. And then some of the things that are really also important to me, it's not doula focused, it's more parent focused, are my childbirth ed classes, like the self-paced modules. I'm just
Okay.
finding that, as doulas, we really need our parents coming to the table with some knowledge. They need language.
Oh, I
They need
know.
they need to understand the stages of labor. It's great if they
Mhm.
understand ways that they can start to cope and comfort themselves when the different labor sensations happen. We want them to come in knowing what to expect on the postpartum side.
Absolutely.
So sometimes we don't have a ton of time to prep them. And a
Mhm.
lot of doulas are not childbirth educators.
No, not at all.
So
Not at
a
all.
comprehensive childbirth ed course where parents can walk their way through. I did take these 3 months and learn that families are doing a lot of online classes for their
Hmm.
education. And so I'm like, why not? Let me get in the game. I'm a good one for that. So self-paced childbirth.
Okay, and that's interesting because we're not in COVID any longer, but these families are still engaging in virtual training.
They need the education to be convenient because they're busy. A lot of my clients are busy professionals. So
Okay.
they want the education, but they need it to be accessible. And so, yeah, so self-paced classes are on the way for me. But again, I'm just thinking about the communities that I support, whether it's birth workers or it's parents directly.
Mhm.
How can I educate you? How can I help you do the thing that you're trying to do? If that's
Right, right,
birthing or
right.
if that's building your business. So that's really where my focus is for the fall. I'm excited
Hmm.
about it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Okay, so y'all, we just wanted to come back to you to be like, hey, we
We're
we we
back.
went away to do life and do our businesses, but we're still here.
Oh
Uh
yeah.
yeah. So we're gonna come back to like sharing tips, ideas, giving feedback about different things happening in the birth world. But we just want to say, hey y'all, we're back.
We're
I think
back.
it's great that we did it on folding chair day. I think it's great.
Now that's what I want to see on the Facebook memory next year. I want to see it pop up all over.
Yes. I'm gonna have to do a post just so it can come back up.
Exactly. That's what I
Exactly.
want to see.
Yes, exactly. Okay, awesome. Okay, everybody. Well, we're back. We hope that this was a fun little like, hey, where y'all been? Connection time, and we'll get back to our original shenanigans in the weeks to come. So thanks everybody. We look forward to helping you do
Do
that.
that.
All right.
Yes.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.